My journey started in Estcourt. My father was a farmer, a cattle farmer. He managed the farm there. And I used to wake up in the mornings and go help him on the farm. Used to go herd cattle and herd sheep and then head off to school in the morning, which was an awesome lifestyle, I must admit. From there, I ended up getting a scholarship to Hilton College. And after that, moved down to the Cape. Ended up studying a degree in BCom Financial Analysis. But my whole goal was really, I just wanted to get out and start working, to be honest with you. I kind of felt like my whole life looking at my father and the way he worked, he was always just stuck on the farm working for someone else. And it was quite a tough lifestyle in the sense of everything was month to month, really living to just get through. And as far as I can remember, and as long as I can remember, I always wanted to start something that just built an annuity business, built something that would work for me, and something that I could create a culture out of. Even going to varsity, I remember coming up with new ideas and thinking about new things, and I had a folder with new ideas, and every time I'd come up with an idea, I'd write it down, and I'd write a business plan on that idea and figure out how this idea is going to make money and how it's going to drive something new and create change. And so I think it was just a passion that started coming out from early on, even from high school days. Got my 3-year degree and then ended up coming down to Cape Town. I applied for a job at a company called UCS Solutions, and there were about 1,000 people that applied for the job. And I remember thinking, I have a 3-year degree. Everyone else that's applying for this job is going to have, honors and masters, and there's a whole bunch of people applying for it. And I thought, there's just no ways I'm going to get through to the first round. I mean, they're only going to select, I think it was about 30 or 40 people that were going to go through for interviews. So I remember clearly just sort of looking on their website, finding the HR director's number, and picking up a phone and said to him, listen, you need to make sure I get through to the interviews before you, kind of whittle me down. And on the phone, he said, look, I'm looking around, and he looked at the CV pack that was there, and he found my CV, and he said, thanks, Bevan, look, I found your CV, and I'm going to put you through, and you'll definitely get through to the interviews. And so that was kind of the start of the journey, and obviously ended up getting that job. And it was a great starting point for me because I ended up doing 2 things that I loved. Number one, I loved working with people, and it was a consulting job, so you're always working with people. And the second thing I enjoyed was just solving problems, which is really what it taught me to do. I learned a whole lot about corporates, a lot about projects. We were doing some big projects at Pick n Pay as an example. And it really also started sparking a passion for me in the tech world, because there they were solving problems, but they were solving problems using tech. So that was kind of my introduction to the working world and to tech. And then after that, I was headhunted for a startup company, and was there for about 7 months. And they wanted me to do their sales and business development, which is really what I was excited about. I love selling things. I love sort of creating new things. But at the same time, I just had this burning desire to start something new. I really wanted to go out there and make a difference in the world. And if I looked up at the corporate world that I was in prior to that, a lot of the people just weren't enjoying what they did. They weren't passionate about what they were doing. They weren't loving coming into work. It kind of felt like they were working just to get to the weekends, to get to the holidays. And I just thought there had to be something more. There had to be something better out there. And so I was 23, and I think that was the first pivotal moment in my life when I decided that I'd take the plunge, and I quit my job, and it was a hairy moment. I had nothing. I literally had 4 months of cash to live off. I remember thinking, look, I've got 4 months to raise funding, and at that stage, I had the idea where I wanted to get rid of a wallet and link all your cards to a mobile phone. And basically, it was through that idea where I said, this is going to be the idea that I think can change the world. I really thought it can, add value to people's lives. I can create a culture and a business where we can scale and grow an annuity business. And so, quit my job. I had 4 months worth of rent left. So this was in about September 2007. And I had up until December, and then my rent would have bounced. So literally had 4 months to raise capital. Ended up flying up to Joburg, meeting a guy by the name of John Bright. And John was a lovely man. And I sat with him and said, look, I need 2.2 million. I showed him my business plan for 30% of the company. And we ended up settling with a 50-50 deal, and I ended up with 4.4 million. So he gave me a bit more capital, and I sort of negotiated him down because he wanted to get to control. But the interesting thing was, this was the 16th of December, and my rent was going to bounce at the end of that month. So I was really on the wire. And John said to me, how are you doing cash-wise? I said, look, I'm going to run out of money and my rent's going to bounce. So John said, I'll tell you what, I'll wire 100K into your account today, and we'll come back in January and we'll sign the documents. And it's amazing how it just takes one man's faith in you, which really changes the trajectory and the course of your journey. So after raising the funding, obviously I sort of rented a place, and 4 people were coming into my flat every day for the first year. So this is now 2008. And it was a great time. We were really excited about what we were building. We were about to launch what we saw as the first mobile payments app in the world, linked to a credit card. And we were really excited about creating something new and adding value. And I remember clearly I used to roll out of my bed in the morning and sort of walk around the corner and then sit at our desk, and there'd be 4 other people that would show up at my flat, and we'd work for that whole year, basically doing that. So it was a great experience, and it was very intimate, and it was cool to share in that with some good friends that are still with us today. And in 08, we launched our app, and that was the first payment we made. I walked into a store called Cafe Neo in Mully Point, and I actually walked in and paid with my phone, linked to my credit card, and it routed through Standard Bank without them actually even knowing. So it was an incredible experience, and I think for us to do what we saw as the first mobile payment that the world had seen, linked to a credit card and using your phone, was something that we feel and we're quite proud about, and it's we found very remarkable. So that was in 2008, but almost as quickly as we started, we realized that we were failing as quickly as we had really started getting going. And it was sort of about 2009 we realized that tipping point just wasn't getting there. We weren't getting enough customers quick enough. The banks were petrified of this thing called mobile payments. I mean, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Do they still have control of their customers? The retailers were looking in at this and saying, well, are we going to integrate to this new startup app company? And I think we were really only 5-6 people at the time, so it was quite hairy for them to integrate to this solution. But what that meant for us is we just weren't getting to break even quick enough. And in this market, unlike Silicon Valley, they had round A, B, C, D, and our market was round A, and you need to get to break even. So we had a look at this, and we realized for us to really make it, we have to make a radical change in the business. So it was possibly the lowest point that we had, as a company. And I clearly remember pulling my team together around a table and saying to them, look guys, we're at the end of our tether here, we're at the end of our cash flow, and we need to make some serious decisions. We need to say, either we're going to stick it out, and at that stage I had a new idea to pivot from a B2C business to a B2B company, and sat with the team and said, we can either quit our jobs and sort of shut this thing down and go and find other employment, or we can give this new idea a go and change to being a business-to-business provider. And fortunately, I had the whole team back me in that decision, and I think it just shows how a team of people is generally stronger than one guy trying to do something by himself. And I think in our story, it was absolutely crucial that I had people that just believed in the vision as much as I did, and they all said to me at that time, let's press on, let's do this thing, and let's give this a go. We can't stop now. We've been doing something for 2.5 years, and although it had failed in its uptake, we knew there was something better around the corner. So we pivoted the idea, and that was the start of what is wiGroup now, really, being a B2B software provider to retailers and banks. And we now have some of the largest banks, some of the largest retailers, the biggest telcos. We've processed 5 billion rand through our platform in the last couple of years. So it really was for us a story of failure and learning from that failure, and then picking ourselves up and saying, actually, let's carry on, let's press forward. And we believed in making a difference, and I think that's really where we've ended up. So once we made the pivot from B2C to B2B, we obviously needed to get some traction in the market. And the way we thought about doing that is, let's go and grab a small retailer with a great brand, which we knew the big retailers would look at and, kind of say, we want to be like that. And so our first client was actually Vida E-Cafe. And at that stage, they were the brand everyone wanted to be associated with. So we thought, let's just get in there. And we actually did it for free. We went to them and said, look, let's just put our software in. Let's prove it, because we know on the back of that other people will be excited to utilize the software. So that was our starting point. But after that, we knew we needed to get the big guys. And because we were a platform that was non-exclusive, so we were kind of really trying to position ourselves as an open platform, we needed to get cross-retailers, even though they competed with each other. So we looked at the two biggest grocery retailers being Pick n Pay and ShopRite, and we actually targeted them at the same time and said, let's try and get both of them across the line, because if we get one, they're going to want exclusivity and the other one won't come with us. So we had to try and really see how we can get both across the line at the same time. And it was a huge feat. We were about sort of 10 to 12 people at that stage, trying to get these massive corporates across the line to integrate our software. And at that stage, we were integrating to their point of sale software. So there's probably 20,000 lanes, just at ShopRite alone. So it was a big feat. And I clearly remember, sort of about a month apart, we ended up getting ShopRite and Pick n Pay to go live, almost at the same time. And I think that for us was again a key moment in the business where we said, we've got these giants in the retail industry, plugging into our software. And we were sort of 12 people sitting in an office going, now we need to support this, now we need to grow. And the rest is really about getting the right people, because from then on, we just started scaling, from 12 people to 30 people to 50 people to 70. We're now just over 110 people in the organization. And the only way we were able to do that is just getting the right individuals into the business, with the right roles, and keeping people highly motivated. I used an example to someone the other day where I said, if we have 100 people and they're 60% activated and passionate about what they're doing, if I can convert that from 60 to 80%, that's like having 20 new people in your business without paying a cent more, effectively. So for us, it was critical that we got activated people loving what they do, because that's when really businesses do remarkable things. So we really built, over the last 3 years, all around a culture of being remarkable. We love what we do. You'll see the vibe in the office is just, it's all about people passionate about something that they're really good at and skilled in. And for me, it's been about empowering people. I realized on my journey, I was only really good at a handful of things. But to run this organization, we needed people that were excellent at a whole number of things that, to be honest, I was pretty poor at. So I think it was, getting excellent individuals at the right time throughout that organization, and to help kind of grow me and grow my leadership and grow the business. So we currently, we're getting things right in South Africa. We've grown the business remarkably well here. We're in 65,000 retail lanes in this market. But really, on the back of, we had a deal where Investec Asset Management bought into our business at the end of last year. And the intention with that is growth funding. So if we look at our business here, there's only so much growth that we can do in South Africa. Although there's still a massive market, and I think we're only sort of touching the tip of the iceberg, we believe that our technology could scale globally. So we've now appointed someone in the UK, we've got a GM there, we've signed a deal with a company in Nigeria called InterSwitch. They're the largest sort of mobile banking switch in the whole of Nigeria. And that's a massive market. I mean, that market alone is 180 million people. And so we've been working with them over the last 12 months to integrate our technology into those retail lanes and into those retailers. So we're very excited about the growth into Africa. We're really live in Namibia, we're going to Zambia. So I think Africa is a key market for us. UK, we've got a GM, and I'm flying over to New York again in September, where we're going to be setting up shop there. We're dealing with a company that's looking at taking us to all the major retailers in the US as well. So I think there's huge room for growth. But again, it's going to be another chapter for us to learn. We don't know what we don't know in those markets, and I think that's exciting for us. We've got a lot to learn, and hopefully we're going to get it right.